the Niners have 11 draft picks. Their win now team that was in this NFC Championship game the last 2 years. On the face, you're thinking, man, there's no way 11 rookies make this team. But then they lost a lot of players in free agency. You think they should be keeping most of their draft picks?
I think I see a lot of like what the point that you just said in the sense that like, oh, there's no way 11 rookies make this team. But I think you have to think of it like this, and I've said it before, like draft picks are just chances, right? There's no, if you get a first round draft pick, there's no guarantee that that guy's going to hit. He's either going to be an average player or it's just an increased chance. So why, like, instead of trading like a bunch of draft capital to move up, why not just draft all your guys or draft the bulk of them, bring them into camp, because you don't have to cut your roster down until the end of August. Do like a little trial period, see who's the bust in camp, and then cut the rookies that you don't like.
Or if there's a guy who you think is good enough to make a 53-man roster, but you can't fit on yours, you can always trade him. They do stuff like that.
Yeah, and the bulk of their draft choices, right? They're later round picks, so like they're not gonna take a huge dead cap hit for cutting a 5th round pick, for cutting a 4th round pick. Like a 1st round pick that you're gonna take a big. If you cut a 1st round pick, you're gonna take a hit on your These are later round draft, even a 3rd round pick. Like, right. And they've kind of did it before, right? They've cut. Right. Now last year, I think they cut 1 or 2 guys that they drafted. They definitely they cut. I remember I think he was a DB out of Penn State.
So what you're saying essentially is, would you rather consolidate picks and have fewer chances to hit, or just give yourself 11 chances and live with cutting 2 or 3 rookies and feel like, you know what, that gave ourselves more chances to hit? I mean, I see what you mean on that. I see what you mean.
You get to test drive them for like a month and a half and see if
that's true,
right?
That's true.
And you get, you know what I mean, which is
that's true. Yeah,
which might be better than, you know, taking 3 or 4 picks, turning it to one player.
Right, because you got to factor, like, if you have a draft class, like 10 to 20% of it is going to just not be what you wanted, at least.
Right.
No matter how many guys you bring in, 7 or 11, like there's going to be a certain percentage of guys that just don't work out. The Tariq Castro Fields of the group.
That's the guy I was talking about.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So if you consolidate 11 picks to 6, that doesn't mean you're going to hit on all 6. Right? So you still might only hit on 80% of them or 60% of them. So give yourself 11 chances. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like if you need a right tackle, instead of trading up. Now I know if you look at
the Niners don't need a right tackle. They have Cohn McKibbis. What are you talking about?
If you look at like, you typically need to draft in the 1st, 2nd round to get a right tackle, right? It's not like the guy from the Eagles, like where you take a flyer in the 7th round or whatever, like, and then he turns out to be, you know, a Pro Bowl. That doesn't happen. Like, no. But, you know, might it be better to just, instead of trading up and, you know, giving away 4 draft picks to maybe get in the 2nd round, and maybe it's better to just use right tackle 4 times or 3 times.
Yeah.
Bring guys into camp, see who sucks.
Draft guys with traits. Big guys who are fast and move well. Like, stop, because you have a good coach. Give him some real clay to work with, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Eagles do. All those guys in their offense, they're not all 1st-round picks, but they're all big and really athletic. All of them. And the guy you mentioned, who, you know, Jordan Mailata, the other guy who's now in with the really long name, who's now in Detroit. I mean, they killed it at the combine. They just hadn't played football before, right? Because they were rugby players.
Right.
So, yeah.
Remember when the 49ers signed a rugby player?
Lawrence Okoye Jared Hayne ended up being anti-Semitic. Ended up hating Jews. So I ended up not liking him. Sorry. Ended up.
He would not be the first anti-Semitic from Australia.
I don't
region.
know. Yikes. Tommy Huxley says, what?
Mel Gibson, you know, his whole like.
Oh yeah, he's Australian, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mel Gibson Not a fan of the Tribe. Okay. Tommy Huxley says, if peeing in your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis. Great line from Billy Madison. One of the funnier movies of all time. I like Billy Madison. Tom Jensen, new member. Everyone check out Tom Jensen's work on si.com/49ers, all 49ers.
Oh, he's a writer.
Newest writer. Oh, yeah. And he's killing it. He's putting out mock drafts. He's doing all the work that I don't do. He's doing a great job. If you want to be like educated for the draft, go read Tom Jensen. He's right up there right now. I just put up a full 49ers mock draft. That's I'm talking third round, fourth round. Who does that? And the picks make and he trades.
Trades.
Yeah, it's really good. Chris, I don't know, says, Grant, do you think it'd be a good idea for the Niners to trade up in the draft with the amount of draft picks we have? We don't have many spots to fill, and I can't see 11 rookies contributing for us. We just talked about that right now. That's what I think, but, I mean, coaches made a good argument for standing pat and drafting as many guys as you can. Because, honestly, the Niners are so low in the draft, they can't really package their picks and move that far up, you know? Yeah. They really can't.
Right. Like, the big want, I feel like, for most 49ers fans is a right tackle. But I don't know that they have enough ammunition to get into range to get
They don't.
And it's got to be a tackle that they like. So you can't just go and just get into the second round or maybe they get to the end of the second round, just take any freaking tackle.
No.
You know, now, if the guy from BYU is there and you can move up to get him, yeah, do it. But like just to go and, you know, I just don't know there's enough ammunition there to do it. You know, like, can you work out a Brandon Ayuk trade and get him to the end of the first round, and then maybe you're working with something?
Yeah, or Trey Lance. No, what do you think Trey Lance is even worth?
It's hard to say, man. I don't know. Second, maybe,
because he never had a resume. He didn't even have a resume coming out of college. His whole worth and value was always built on projection, almost like Anthony Richardson. And now he hasn't played really in 3 years. So I wonder how much that upside is still valued.
A lot of teams, like I think this came out too, is a lot of teams didn't even have a grade on him. Not that they weren't down on him, they weren't up on him. They just didn't know, so there wasn't enough information. Right. And I don't know that his time in the pros has even changed that. Like, wouldn't you still have a kind of a question mark there on him if you're grading him out? Like
how do you give him a grade? And it'd be interesting. What if there was never a pandemic? What would he be right now if he had to play that second season at North Dakota State? You know, that first game didn't go so well. What would his draft stock have been? Would it have been a good year, or would he have come back down to earth? Don't know.
I don't know.
Don't know.
He kind of the COVID year. He is one of the players that I feel like they messed up in that COVID year because he could have used that experience, right? Like
he could have used it. And then you got Zach Wilson, who sort of dominated like a bubble tournament and got rich off of a fraudulent resume, pretty much. Although you liked him, a lot of people like Zach Wilson. Is it possible? I think the problem with Zach Wilson is his personality. It seems kind of like Carson Wentz's, Josh Rosen, where he's just not going to get a team to
follow him. The perfect and the guy that's really going to help mentor him is perfect.
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, because he's so down to earth and humble. Everyone loves him. Yeah.
Like
good call. No, yeah, man. If Robert Saleh can't humble you, like, dude, I don't know, man. You might just be a jerk.
Yeah.
Remember those stupid jokes? You might be a redneck if you might be a jerk if the whole team wants Mike White to be the quarterback.
Like wearing the T-shirts of
damn, dude. And he's not even good. They just don't like you. Wow. Anyway, I think the lesson we learned is don't draft a quarterback immediately following or during a pandemic. Don't do it. Next time, they'll know.
Yeah, and I guess the bigger thing, right, is they traded so much to get him. It wasn't just like.
That's the other thing. You want the rookie quarterback because it's like cost effective, but you made him expensive, right? Not just in terms of cap hit, but in terms of the draft capital. That matters.
I actually the good news is, or at least I do feel like one of these two guys, Purdy or Lance, will probably be like a guy that can play in the top third of the league
on a rookie deal. Yeah. Or like long term.
I know people are down on Purdy because of his some of his his physical traits, but Drew Brees didn't have the best physical traits either, and he established a nice career. He won one Super Bowl. Not that so especially if you're playing with Brock on a rookie deal. I mean, and then let's see what happens with Lance. If Lance is the guy, like ideally, if I've tweeted this out before, the ideal scenario actually for the 49ers would be that if Lance proves he can play and Purdy builds up his resume a little bit too, now you can what team wouldn't want a quarterback that has potential to go on like an 8 winning streak into the playoffs and cost $700,000 on your cap hit?
I know, it's whatever team wants. It's exactly what every team wants.
The
problem is he got hurt. They all get hurt.
And that's what I'm saying. If he were to come back, play a little bit, Lance were to play, and Lance were to prove that he's the guy, but also Purdy played a little bit too to prove that he still got it. Like, and so the 49ers were comfortable keeping Lance. Purdy would be the perfect guy. You would be able to get probably a lot of compensation for it because teams are like, oh, starting quarterback, and he only costs $700,000, $800,000 on our roster. Sign me up for that. Like,
I want to see the 2-quarterback system that the Niners were flirting with 2 years ago. 2 quarterbacks, both of them, 3. Sam Darnold can do something too. 3 quarterbacks on the field at the same time. I think that would be fun.
You have it in gun, right? And then you have 2 quarterbacks back, so you don't know which one's going to get the snap.
And they just keep handing it to each other and no one knows who has it. I think that's the future of football right there. I like it. The Mech says, hey, Grant, I just asked GPT-4 to write an article in your style. That's terrifying. You got to see this. I'm going to send it to you in the mail. It's great. AI is here. That's really funny. I was messing around with ChatGPT and I was asking questions like, is Kyle Shanahan a good coach? And it was making all the Shanahan excuses. I was like, man, even robots are programmed to defend this guy. It's really pissing me off. Robots were defending him. Elias Soto says possible trade BA for an above-average solid right tackle. The problem with that is you got to replace Ayuk after that. And you can't say that's Danny Gray or Jawan Jennings or Ray McLeod.
If you trade Ayuk, like I would go for a draft pick. I wouldn't go for a play because the whole point of trading Ayuk is you want to get cheaper. You want to get talented, but you want to get cheaper, right?
That's the thing. If you trade Ayuk for a first-round pick, you're going to take a wide receiver, not a right tackle. You got to replace Ayuk.
Well, not necessarily, right? Because I think feasibly you could, depending on how it looks in the draft, you could trade Ayuk if the right tackle that you like is there in the first round. There's plenty of wide receivers you can get in the second, third round. Like you can find guys like
but here's the complicating factor: Kyle's offense. It's so hard for rookies to play right away, right? You got to learn a new language, and you got to memorize the phone book. He doesn't like playing rookies. Ayuk did it somehow, but they were like 6 and 10. He didn't care. I don't know. That's the thing with Kyle. That's the thing.
Well, maybe Danny Gray will be out of the doghouse this year, and
that's another thing I have against Kyle, man. Could you simplify your freaking offense so that rookies can play? Because the Niners have already they're like right now they're discovered that it's an advantage to get the guys on the rookie contract on the field. Oh yeah, that's definitely true. Well, it's tough to do when they're over there like failing Kyle Shanahan's pop quizzes. You can't play until you get a 99 on this. It's like, damn, man, I don't know. I'm a good athlete, though. Can I play? No, you're not allowed to. We're going to go with Trent Taylor and River Craycraft because they aced the test this week.
Who are still in the league, by the way.
True. It's true. Do you think the Niners make – huh?
I was just going to say, and that's another thing on this philosophy is the Niners are actually been decent at good at drafting wide receivers.
That's true, especially since Dante and Jalen Hurd. That was a bad year.
Yeah, those are the only 2 guys, but the other guys they've had in the roster are still on teams. The guy, what's his name, was the leading Giants wide receiver this past year, or number 2. I forgot his name. He was
Richie James. How could you forget the great Richie James? You know what? It's because Kyle Shanahan played wide receiver at Texas, and there's some highlights floating around Twitter this morning of Kyle Shanahan's prolific college career. And What I didn't know is he essentially was a slot receiver. He was like the Jawan Jennings of University of Texas minus the production and the skills.
Like, if you look at his like his it's like he's wearing a defensive lineman pads. Like,
dude, it's funny that he's so into wide receivers that give yards after the catch because that's not exactly his skill set. Jay says, do you think the Niners make any more edge moves via free agency? Nah, man, they got Cleveland Farrell, baby. What are you talking about? They're good.
I think they could, but they are waiting for the market to kind of reset itself.
Leonard Floyd would be perfect. Look for Leonard Floyd because he would be perfect. Anyway.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd, Yannick Ngakoue. I mean, I think people would love Yannick Ngakoue, but I don't know that he's in their price range. They would have to do some cap gymnastics, even if his price lowered, unless I'm totally misjudging the market. But
no, I think they would go Leonard Floyd because Floyd got cut and Yannick is just a free agent, and so that means Leonard Floyd doesn't affect the comp pick formula. The Niners love comp picks. Seriously, Yannick would cancel out one of them. Floyd would not, and the Niners, they will give up a comp pick over their dead bodies. That's the most important thing, is for them to keep rolling the comp picks. Quest for 6. How
many sacks did Leonard Floyd have last year?
I don't know.
I feel like he's never been. Has he ever had double digit sacks?
Let's see. He had 9, and he had 9.5 the year before that, and 10.5 the year before that. I'll take him, man. I'll take him.
Let's go.
Let's go, Leonard Floyd. But I mean, like, if you put together, 27 sacks in 3 seasons, he should be able to get $5 million, $7 million. Like, I don't care what he does against the run. But that's just me.
I don't know that it's that, because some guys, they feel like, because not all sacks are equal, right? Like, sometimes you can just walk into a sack and you didn't earn it.
Yeah, ask Eric Armstead 2019. But I'm just saying, it's 3 years in a row. I'm such an asshole. I'm sorry. Eric, if you're watching, I know you are. You're a great player, man. And an even better person. So thank you.
A guy but I think that's why part of the reason why the D Ford guy kind of works in this defense, right?
Yeah.
Is that you can get those back because they just flush you. The rush will flush you to your side, and then you just basically run into the quarterback. And if you're athletic enough to chase him down, you get a sack.
Yeah. That's right.